There is no greater warrior than a mother protecting her child. A quote by Nora K. Jemisin. Welcome back, beautiful mamas, to another episode of Mom on a Mission, No Apologies. I'm your host, Karla Rivera. And today's episode, we're going to talk about a very personal topic that's very important to me. We're talking about what it means to be a mom of a neurodivergent child. What it takes, the emotions we go through, and the strength we find to get through it. For those of you who don't know, I'm the mother of a beautiful child named Giovanni. Giovanni is a neurodivergent child. His journey has been unique from the very beginning. He was a preemie of 29 weeks and he was born at 3 pounds, 12.3 ounces. He spent time in the NICU from July 17th through September 2nd. Those were the longest months of my life. Every day he was trying to fight to grow stronger. Every day I would hear those monitors. Every day it would be a different experience or piece of information. Since then, we've navigated different challenges with him, from developmental delays to therapy sessions and now to understanding his diagnosis. Giovanni has an intellectual delay, something that before was known as mild mental retardation. Receiving that information was a defining moment as a mother. It was like a wave of emotions that came over me: grief, sadness, disappointment, blame, and just so many negative emotions that came upon me at that very moment that they told me that he had his diagnosis. At that moment, I questioned everything. Was it something that I did? Was it something that I could have prevented? Is there something that we didn't see? There was just so many questions that came over me at that very moment in time. I went through the classic stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally, acceptance. Acceptance is the hardest thing that a mother can do. I remember leaving that doctor's visit with the worst pain that I have ever felt emotionally. Uncontrollable, crying, just so much judgment of myself as a mother. And also lack of responsibility, because how could I miss this? How could I not know that my son needed this support? Was it because I didn't want to see it, or was it because I chose not to see it? But here's what I've learned. Our kids are not broken. Our kids don't need to be fixed. Our kids are who they are, and our kids are unapologetically themselves. What they need is love, support, and guidance. And it is our job as their mothers to be their number one advocates. And that's where the hardest role of our jobs comes into play. Not just being their moms, but being their advocates. And when Giovanni reached public school age, this is where the hardest job of being a mother has been. Do I send my son to a public school setting, or do I actually send him to a school where they could provide him the services and the support that he currently needs? I did so much research. I wanted to make sure that I was making the best decision for my son. I talked to a lot of therapists, I asked a million questions, and I did as much research as I could. And as other mamas will relate, this decision put so much weight on me, because at the end of the day, I wanted to make sure I was making the best decision for my son. I had to put on my hat as an advocate, something that we don't plan to do, but we have to do for our little ones. I remember visiting a public school setting, a kindergarten classroom, looking at all the children running, playing, and just having a good time. As I was watching them, I was thinking, would my son Giovanni be a good fit for this school, for this environment? Or would he benefit from being with other kids that are maybe not like him, but similar to him, where I know for a fact that he would have that support when he needed it? Then I visited an ABA school. a whole different environment. A one-on-one with every child, a one-on-one that fits what that child needs, a smaller classroom setting, kids that could relate more to my son. At that very moment, I knew this is a better fit for my son. And even though I also had to grieve the fact that my son would not be going to a public school setting, it was hard. But in all reality, I knew this is where my son needs to be. Being an advocate for our children is exhausting. It's overwhelming. It has so many roles. We constantly have to be fighting for our children, making emails, returning phone calls, making phone calls, leaving voicemails, etc. I have had numerous amount of times where I have felt frustration, anger, disappointment, because it didn't seem like they wanted to support me. And I had to push and fight for my son to get that support that he needed. I know many of you that are listening have been through this type of situation. You have also fought numerous of times for your children. Maybe you've had to push for services, attend numerous amount of meetings, or educate family members who simply don't understand. It is exhausting, but it's the most rewarding role as a mom that we can have. If you're in this journey as well, just know that you're not alone. It does really feel like a lonely road, but guess what? You're not alone. There's other moms out there that can relate to you, that can relate to me, and just know that we're on this mission together. One friend told me, "Carla, your son is lucky to have you." Those words resonated deeply within me. At that moment, I did not feel like my son was lucky to have me. But guess what, mamas? Our sons, our children, they are lucky to have us. Why? Because we are warriors. Like I mentioned before, our children have those warriors in us that we know we will go to battle for our children. We will be those advocates that our children need. Our kids may face difficult challenges, but they also have incredible strengths, and they have us to let them shine. So to all the moms out there that are navigating neurodivergence, I see you, I hear you, and I want to remind you, even if you may not see it at this very moment in time, you are doing an amazing job. If today's episode resonated with you, I would love to hear your story. Connect with me on social media and share your experiences. And let's continue forming a support system for one another. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mom on a Mission, No Apologies. Make sure to subscribe, leave a comment or a review, and share this episode with other mamas that may need it. Until next time, beautiful mamas, keep advocating and never apologize for that fierce mama that you are.